everybody. Welcome to the county seat. I'm Chad Booth. You know, we hear the term fake news a lot these days. But is all fake news really fake? Let me give you an example. If you live in Blanding or Loa, or you live in Junction or in Manilla, and you hear our governor say we have the strongest growing economy in the nation, you might think that's fake news. Well, it is and it isn't. So what we want to try and do today on our show is determine the why this misperception is happening and what we can do about it. We're going to start with the why.
The Utah worker is pretty happy these days. That's because Utah's job market is going crazy. It would seem that Utahns don't have much use for recessions.
We're one of the quickest to get out of the recession and have been expanding since then. We currently have the highest job growth rate in the nation at 3.1%, and unemployment is also very low.
Now, while the numbers look good statewide, in many rural communities, the employment good fortune hasn't come so easily.
No, it hasn't. It certainly hasn't. There are definitely parts of our state that are struggling. When we report a statewide number, it is an average, and it is going to more heavily reflect the heavier populated areas of our state.
Which is why there is such a disconnect when people in Paiute read a report that says Utah has the strongest economy in the nation, and a man in Murray mulls over why losing a dozen jobs in Manilla could make such a difference.
Oh, it's an enormous difference. Losing 100 jobs in Salt Lake County, when you talk about those summary numbers, it probably won't even show up, whereas with Paiute County, that would cause a dramatic shift.
If you look at the recovery rates that track economic performance since the recession of 2008, you will see that only about half the counties of the state have increased jobs, those seen in pink and red, with Utah and Wasatch leading the way with job growth at 24 and 21%. On the other hand, the counties shown in white have lost jobs. Daggett and Paiute County have led that parade with a decrease in jobs of 14 and 38%. Rural Utah needs some of those jobs heading towards the state, and the Wasatch Front would benefit if many of them went rural too. Utah's population is expected to expand from 3 million to 4 million within the next decade. We will have 5.5 million people by 2065.
The place certainly looks lived in quiet. All right.
The Wasatch Front will struggle to absorb all those people without significant impacts on traffic, air quality, housing, school crowding, infrastructure, and a host of other issues. So, if those people and jobs can spread out, it would seem both the city mouses and the country mouses would win. Going forward, it will reduce urban stress in the metro counties and create much-needed diversity in the rural counties, removing that elephant in the room found at too many county employment offices that no one wants to talk about.
If you have a smaller economic base and you have a large employer or a large single industry that your county relies on, then when that entity contracts or leaves, it causes quite a shock to that system.
So, whether your county is an energy county, a mining county, a tourism county, a cattle county, or a railroad county, new growth from newcomers will provide more jobs, better community services, and can actually help preserve those historic industries that rural counties cherish.
Which is what Chad and his guests will be talking about next when we take up the topic of Senate Joint Resolution 14. I'm Rhea Rossi Booth with the County Seat.
We'll be back on the county seat in just 2 minutes to talk about SJR 14.
There's a little place on a Utah map where I was raised, where my heart's at, where the sagebrush grows wild and high. The stars come out at night. Oh, there ain't nothing like being raised in the basin with a Ute reservation, skiing starvation, that Duchesne County life.
Color, it's something that can be seen. But have you ever wanted to reach out and touch it? Experience it. In San Juan County, Utah color comes to life. like nowhere else on earth. Color can be more than an abstract. Color can be your gateway to a new world. Visit San Juan County and explore the past, present, and future in a way that you've only dreamed of. San Juan County. Color your experience.
The Utah Farm Bureau began as a collection of farmers supporting each other to raise the food we enjoy. Today, Farm Bureau membership encompasses everyone, whether ranchers, growers, or just everyday folks like you and me. Members enjoy discounts on items like vehicles and ATVs, or insurance that's very affordable. You don't have to be a farmer to join, and dues are small, but together we make a big difference in keeping our food supply local and abundant. Join Utah Farm Bureau.
Welcome back to the county seat. We are talking today about Senate Joint Resolution 14 from the last legislative session, bringing rural jobs to Utah. We're privileged to have on our panel today the brainchild, whose brainchild it is, the creator of it, Senator Kevin Van Tassel. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Irene Hansen, who is Duchesne's County Economic Developer and Tourism Guru, and Commissioner Greg Todd from Duchesne County. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So, Kevin, tell me a little bit of the genesis of coming up with this resolution, because it's talked about a lot now.
Well, we just completed Governor Herbert's desire to create 100,000 jobs in a specific length of time. And we did that several months ahead of what was projected. Mm-hmm. And as I've watched that develop throughout the state, it became very obvious to me in our rural counties that we needed to focus on them. That while the state as a whole has had excellent growth, jobs increasing and things that, and we have to fund and deal with infrastructure and all of those issues on the Wasatch Front, that we need to focus in rural Utah. And I threw out the number 25,000 in the beginning. It was kind of, there's a gasp in the room, but they said, let's look at it. And they came back and says, we think we can do that in the next 4 years. And so that's where it came about. The governor then mentioned it in his State of the State message, and we wrote the resolution, and we're in the process of trying to create 25,000 jobs in 25 counties in the next 4 years.
Well, you know, as the story points out, if you concentrate this new growth that's coming to the state, I mean, we're talking about in the next 10 years going from 3 million to 4 million by 2024. And no matter what you do, if you're going to bring that many jobs to the state, that many new people to the state to live and work here, you're going to have major infrastructure problems. But if you do it in the Wasatch Front, you've got this additional problem of air quality, transportation congestion, you've got all these things. Instead, if you were to put that infrastructure out, aren't at this point the rural counties really better equipped to absorb 1 million people in the Wasatch Front?
You know, my belief is as a whole that we can absorb 25,000 new jobs in rural Utah with very little impact. In fact, if anything, it's going to stabilize, it's going to increase our productivity of our schools, our highways will be better used, it'll get people closer to what they want to come to Utah for. You know, I live in Vernal, and you know, in 15 minutes I can be in the desert to the south, or I can be up at the lake to the north. And we have our traffic problems like everybody else does, but yet 25,000 jobs will just stabilize. And I think the other part that we're looking for is we want to diversify our rural economies. And I think that we have enough infrastructure in. Most of us have strong broadband capabilities and things that we can do a lot of things in rural Utah that we haven't been able to do in the past. And then in the next couple of years, we're going to have most of that settled wherever you go in Utah, whether it's Daggett County or San Juan County. Broadband is going to be capable.
So as a question to you guys, from a county perspective, what tools do you need to have in queue to make this work? I mean, are you equipped to take 1,000 jobs right now in Duchesne County? Sorry, I wasn't trying to give credit to your neighbor.
You know, probably not 1,000 jobs would be hard to absorb in a matter of weeks. Certainly over a couple of years that would be easily done. We've actually lost that many jobs in the last 16 or 18 months because of the downturn in our area. So we could absolutely absorb that many jobs. We have people who want to live here. We do need some new tools, and we do need to be thinking out of the box about what type of jobs make sense in much of rural Utah.
When I heard the 25,000, 25 counties, I thought of education. That's what came to my mind. You know, in our area, we have Uinta Basin Applied Technology College. There's about 500 graduating this year. Utah State University, there's over 100 graduating. Education is part of that process of having jobs.
And I think that makes a very good point we should pick up when we come back from our break. We're going to get into what you need to make this work. We'll be right back with the county seat.
There is a place where looking out means looking in, where an impression lasting only a few seconds will be imprinted on a life forever, where courage is forged and innocence rediscovered, where remembering is rewarding and forgetting unforgettable. There is a place where truth is felt and where seeing is believing. There is a place.
It's one more, here we go again. I tell myself I'm not enough, but one more time is not enough. One last kiss and then you were gone, and I'm here wishing you could stay a little longer. Stay a little longer. Wishing you could stay a little longer.
All local products have a story of magical places, real people, and delicious recipes spanning generations. So go ahead and discover flavors you've never tasted and friends you never knew you had. Utah's own Discover Local Food.
The Layton Hills Mall offers more than just shopping. Bring the whole family and enjoy SeaQuest Interactive Aquarium to feed the fish and exotic birds, hold live reptiles, and even swim with the stingrays. Or pump up the action and visit Dartside, Utah's premier soft foam dart tag arena. And don't forget the Great Room Escape, where you can challenge your friends to solving mysteries inside themed rooms. So come and experience great fun at the Layton Hills Mall and visit playindavis.com for other great activities.
Welcome back to the county seat. We are talking about 25,000 jobs in 25 rural counties over the next 4 years, SJR 14. So, you know, you kind of alluded to this, Senator, in the first segment, that there were some gasps in the room when we talked about the 25,000 jobs and the resolution got promoted. How are the state agencies, because that affects a lot of them, how are they embracing this at this point?
You know, it's so, I'm excited about it because it's not only just one agency, it's multiple agencies. That all of a sudden where this has come forward, everyone's got some ideas that they can throw into the mix to help achieve what we're trying to do. 2 weeks ago, we went on a tour through central Utah as the legislature. We went through...
I know, I missed it.
You missed part of it, didn't you? But we went through Delta and Nephi and down through into Milford and then Cedar City and then over into Panguitch and Junction, and we visited a couple of high schools along the way. There's one thing that we really need in all of that area, and that is more people. We have a great lifestyle, we have a great opportunity to live, but we've got to help focus and direct people there. And I think that having all of the state agencies look at that and say, what can we do to help reach this goal, I think will improve and put us in a situation where we can grow.
You know, Irene, he brings up a really good point. Some of these little towns need more people. You've got some small towns like Tabiona, you've got all kinds of stuff in the county that just need more people. What difference does a few people make? Because that's going to be the question on the Wasatch Front.
You know, people is the key to everything. Not only they bring with them their time, their talents, their abilities, thinking out of the box. People is the key to everything. And I think there's a couple of components here. So excited when the Senator talked about the state agencies. When you think about the amazing state employees that we have in this state, because rural Utah is not lagging very far behind in broadband, and in fact is leading the way in some cases, wouldn't it be amazing if some of the jobs of the future for the state of Utah could be located in rural Utah? You don't need to be in a Salt Lake office anymore to do input for the tax commission. And we're seeing that happen. We actually are seeing some of those jobs. Department of Workforce Services recently added some jobs to the rural offices that could be done anywhere in the state. So that is an opportunity that I believe sits solely on the shoulder of the state, but what that does is set the example to show how amazing your employees can be if they're in rural Utah.
So obviously, you know, you've got this high-tech campus where all the software guys are, but are you thinking that maybe like an eBay or a Google or somebody like that could maybe put a center out in your county or something? I mean, would that be?
We'd welcome anything in that respect, for sure. You know, the broadband is the key. That is the key, and our people, our local broadband people know that and are willing to do what they've got to do to bring people here.
And we adopted another change in that where we're going to be able to continue to improve on broadband, because in rural Utah, we don't have rail service. We suffer to get goods transport. The information and the industry that's going to be best suited to move to rural Utah is people that want to live in rural Utah, have that lifestyle, but be connected broadband to the world. And we have a number. We have a few in each county that I'm aware of. That I know a gentleman that works for IBM that lives here in the basin, spends a couple of weeks here and travels a week, and it's been very successful. And as we get faster rates and the ability, I think that's some. But that's not going to be the only thing that we need. We need, just like any place else, we need carpenters and we need welders and we need all of those things. And as the commissioner said earlier, our education system is going to help achieve that.
And I guess that's one of the tools in the toolbox that really needs to be paid attention to. You were referring to it a little bit earlier.
Right.
But it does raise a question. Because we have a resource-rich state, and we have a manufacturing overload on the Wasatch Front, and from an environmental standpoint, moving some of that manufacturing out would be better. So while you're saying we don't have rail and this would all be good, wouldn't a manufacturing component really help some of the rural diversity?
Absolutely. I mean, if there's one thing that we need in rural Utah is more than just one major industry. The oil and gas industry for the Uinta Basin is great. It provides great jobs, but when it gets sick, we catch pneumonia. and we need the ability to have that spread out through others. And tourism, we love tourism, we have it, but we need jobs that will provide for a family and sustain a family, not just add to a family's income. And that's what and so if we can get some jobs that are coming in that we can create some, you know, there's still talk about an upgrader coming in, which will be fantastic. It'll solve some of our waxy crude products and some of those things. There are a number of things that we can do it. But the biggest thing we want is we want the ability for, if you live in Junction, Utah, find some kind of job or industry or business that can function and live in Junction and be happy that they're there.
And offset the agriculture.
And offset the agriculture.
Right.
And agriculture is important, all of these things, but we just need, one of the things that the state of Utah has done very well is we have balanced our economy. We have high tech, we have manufacturing, we have oil and gas. I remember back when I was a kid that if Kennecott and Geneva Steel went out on strike, we were in a recession.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And that's not the case anymore.
But, and I would argue that while that exists at a state level, it doesn't exist at a county level. If you look at that map that was in the story from the Gardner Institute, half of the state has not recovered from where they were before the recession. They are significantly behind, and your county happens to be one of them.
Yes.
And so how do we get, we can't all rely on broadband. We've got to have some other things in the toolbox. Will the resolution actually address that?
Well, we believe that by bringing all of the different agencies together, that we're going to find more tools that we realize. I mean, you know, we deal with the Small Business SDSC, is that the right acronym? I get them all mixed up.
SBDC.
SBDC.
Yeah.
I mean, we are looking at people that can help put small businesses put plans together to be successful, to bring them to the financial industry by which they can bring a business and get their startups. We actually did some additional funding, so we have more of those available to be in Vernal or in Junction or Tabiona, wherever that need is to help put those business plans together and get things successful. And those are some critical aspects that we need. We don't know exactly, you know, we don't want anybody to come that doesn't want to be here, but we think if they'll come out and look, they'll be great and it'll be a fantastic opportunity for them. We have an issue where Salt Lake County, for example, comes and plays in Daggett County. Daggett County is so small under its current situation, we can't even fill 2 ambulances crew to take care of 25,000 people that show up on a typical weekend. Those are issues that we need people with a volunteer spirit to come.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will finish our discussion here and we'll get some final thoughts on what everybody can do to move this whole resolution along. Stay with us. We'll be right back on the County Seat.
149 million years in the making. Dinosaurs once roamed this land. Now they're found at the Dinosaur National Monument. Let's take you beyond the bones. We call it Dinosaur Land. You'll find it offers adventures and sights not seen anywhere else in the world. Come to Dinosaur Land, Vernal, Utah. You'll want to stay forever. The dinosaurs did.
What would you do with an extra day in Utah Valley? Explore the Wasatch Mountains? Snap a family photo at Bridal Veil Falls. Cool off on Utah Lake or the Provo River. No matter what you're searching for, you can find it in Utah Valley. Bring everyone together.
Welcome to Beaver County, where we want to spend the winter with you. Enjoy world-class skiing at Eagle Point Resort. There's ski, lodging, and it's great for the family. And when you're done on the slopes, come into town and try some of our famous squeaky cheese. It's the perfect snack. Or come to Arshell's Cafe for a delicious meal. We've got you covered for all your outdoor needs. Minersville Reservoir is just thriving with life under the ice. We hope to see you this winter in Beaver County.
Welcome back to the county seat. We've been talking about 25,000 jobs in 25 rural counties in Utah. And what is the one hidden fact that is going to blow everybody away about this? Do you guys have one?
I'm going to offer something that blew me away, and it's exciting. And that is the one thing that's in rural Utah. I talked earlier about the people, but it's also about our local businesses. We have amazing businesses in rural Utah. They want to be here. Some of them are 4, 5, 6 generations. They have a history of caring about our communities. And you know what? They're ripe and ready to expand too. And I want to focus on them. We're excited. We partner with the state of Utah on the Business Expansion and Retention Program with GoEd and the rural office. It's an amazing opportunity to go out and visit businesses. But there is a little known fact that if every business in rural Utah that had more than 5 employees over the next 2 years could hire 1 more person, I believe it creates something like 50,000 jobs. How amazing. We have a rural Utah that is ready and willing to do that expansion. Yes, we need some very creative incentives. We need some ways to help them. But I really believe that that's the key. And you know, we have, again, the BEAR program. We have Senator Van Tassel that has led the way to helping to create incentives like Fast Track that help in rural Utah, help our existing businesses. That's my focus this year.
Okay. Any other final thoughts?
Well, my final thought would be, everybody would love to hire that company that's going to bring 200 jobs to the community. The reality of it is that's going to be hard to do. But if we can help our local guys and girls who have good businesses, as Irene says, hire 1 or 2 more, in the long run we will win and we'll be able to manage it and we'll be successful in getting 25,000.
Does that help us diversify?
I think it does. Well, if we're growing, if we're adding employees, we're succeeding, and we're going to have to just, diversification is one of those things that we always need it. We'll never get there in 4 years, but we certainly can make some headway.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate you all joining us for this conversation. This is really actually a very important topic, and we thank you for joining us today. So we'd ask you that you share this with your friends, you check it out on social media, and get involved in the conversation, and see what you can do if you've got any connections in rural Utah to help stimulate this thought. Remember, local government is where your life happens, and that's what the county seat is all about. And we invite you to participate with us every week. We'll see you next week right here on the county seat.